Stepping into God's purpose may feel like, or at least for a moment, the pinnacle of the journey. Finally, you've arrived. But in reality, our arrival we're in that sense of purpose, in that sense of alignment, is actually often just the beginning of the journey. God's purposes are so fluid, I think. They're always moving. I love the description in Ezekiel. It's kind of mysterious and difficult to fathom, but he talks about a wheel within the wheel and a wheels within wheels. There's something about when we get around God that we can't put our finger on it. He will not. He refuses to be quantified. He refuses to be locked in a box. He refuses to come down to be comprehended in the tiny minds of men, and will always have more than we ever expect, or we could ever begin to get our head and our heart around. These wheels within wheels reveal new colors and facets of God's person and glory with every turn. And I believe it's the same with us as we walk into and walk in and walk through His purposes, that with every step, new facets of His wonder and His wisdom will be revealed to us. There's never really an end to that wonder of walking with Jesus. And in your business, entrepreneurial life, in your creative journey, however that may look, we find, like Isaac, he arrives after many days at Beersheba. And sometimes, man, it's a grueling journey to get there, because God is building something in us while we attempt to build our life and our business or ministry or whatever else it may be. But he arrives finally at Beersheba, the seventh well of the oath, perfectly aligning prosperity with purpose. And, God's voice and God's direction are so clear here. Worship really is the only appropriate response to the goodness and the generosity that we see displayed in this place. We find in Genesis 26, verses 24 to 25, the Lord appeared to him that same night and said, I am the God of Abraham thy father. Fear not, for I am with thee, and I will bless thee and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar there and called upon the name of the Lord. And then I love the detail that follows Isaac's altar building. We may think that he would just set up home here. This is it. He's arrived. But it says he pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. Isaac set himself in place, but not in a palace. He understood the nature of his pilgrimage, and that as a steward, God might move him to fresh pastures at any time. Even God's present purpose and whatever prosperous rewards that you are enjoying can become stumbling blocks if we make the mistake of trusting in the results instead of the one who owns and gave them to us. So here we find Isaac pitched his tent and continued to dig. He dug another well. And so even in what sometimes seems like the perfect arrangement, the favorable outcome, over and above all we can ask or think destination, there is something more to be discovered in God. They dug another well. Deep will always call to deep. Even the deepest human diggings fail to scratch the surface of the wonders that are to be found in our Father's embrace and in His will, immersed in His will. Even when the waters flow, the call to know Him more still resounds. Psalm 42 verse 7 says, deep calls to deep at the noise of your water spouts. Everything is flowing. Man, this is like we've arrived. Hallelujah. But there is a deep that still yearns and calls for more, to know him, to know him, to know him, to love him, to worship him in spirit and truth, to step beyond the bounds of time and to embrace and take hold of eternity. Hallelujah. You know, his purposes never end. They span the ages and they reach into eternity. There is something bigger calling us, friend. There is a bigger world, a bigger purpose, a greater realm, a more lasting, tangible reality that exists that we don't yet see with our eyes. Failure is not a full stop, but nor is success an exclamation mark. Our journey continues. Keep digging. They dug another well. Now, I said this in my Easter, I sent a few Easter celebrations to friends, and I said, this is what I said: Jesus is far bigger, far better, and a great deal more magnificently, terrifyingly awesome than we can even begin to imagine or comprehend. His wonders never end. Let's keep digging. Even if we think we've arrived, let us remind ourselves that man's arrival is just God getting started. Hallelujah. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Hopefully it was a blessing to you. If it was, do please consider leaving a rating and a review on whatever platform you are listening on. I also would love to encourage you to check out my new book, Faithful Creative. We've got a package of resources designed specifically to encourage you in your Christian creative call. You can check that out at faithfulcreativebook.com. And if you choose to pick it up, use the promo code podcast for 50% off. So you'll get it for half price. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless. Jesus first, everything else follows.